This session is going to be chaired on stage by SAMRAT SENGUPTA, VP Brand Building Marketing, UltraTech Cement. Can I please have SAMRAT sir over here on stage, please? My next speaker over here is SHANTANU BANERJEE, General Manager, Marcom, Dollar Industries Limited. My next speaker, PRACHI NARAYAN, Managing Partner, Havas Play India. Thank you so much for joining us over here. My next speaker, I would like to call upon stage DEBOJIT SAHA, Creative Director and Producer, ICE Media Lab. Hello sir, namaste, welcome. My next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is SANJAY Sen, Founder and Principal Partner, Sen and Associates, PLLC. Thank you so much sir for joining us over here. Thank you. And my next speaker over here is R. RAMAKRISHNAN, National Head, Z Media. Thank you so much sir for joining us over here. Ladies and gentlemen, IWMBuzz Media Summit, the second edition, the first panel.
Good morning and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined here today morning. Very interesting topic to start today's proceedings heading after the fireside chat. So obviously we are in a world where we are like kind of drowned with content, where every brand is possibly trying to vie for that extra 3 seconds of attention from their consumers, and very challenging environment, and wherein obviously we are seeing a very change in a dynamic environment, wherein we are seeing a transition from the branded content 1.0 to branded content 2.0. So obviously this new era is defined by a very powerful but very complex marriage. On one side we have the beautiful, messy and the human element of creativity, marrying the cold, hard and unforgiving power of data. On one side, the creative team is asking that, how do I get this resonated to our consumers? Whereas data scientists are kind of answering that this is exactly the kind of precision we need to resonate things, right? And to guide us through this intricate landscape, today we have got assembled a very remarkable group of industry experts who live at the intersection of media, creativity and data every single day. And here obviously data, I'll also refer to content. Please join me in welcoming our experts. I just quickly, because I need to give their perspective about what kind of background they come from. SHANTANU BANERJEE from SHANTANU from Dollar Industries, sharing the critical viewpoint of a leading market here. PRACHI NARAYAN from Havas Play India, representing a powerful media network that bridges insights and creative execution. DEBOJIT SAHA from ICE Media Lab, an expert content creator dealing daily with storytelling in the age of performance. SANJAY Sen from PLLC, offering the vital strategic and consultative framework for effective content management. Mind you, he has got an absolutely different background. He's a CA by profession, right? Or CPA?
Yes,
right.
I am.
Okay. And last but not the least, Mr. R. Ramakrishnan or Mr. Prakash Ramakrishnan, right? So the National Head of Z Media and Branch Head East for Z Media. So we have got a very august gathering out here, and I'm sure you're all going to get enlightened with the knowledge which we are going to share. I'll start with somebody who's not from this industry at large, right? So,
thank you.
Basically to get the proceedings going with Mr. Sen. So how do you differentiate between branded content 1.0? I think it would be better for the audience to also know about this. 1.0 and branded content 2.0. Is it the core difference simply the volume of data available with us, or is it a fundamental change in creative methodology?
First of all, I really thank you everybody to having me here. I am not a typical media or marketing person, but I believe there is a lot of data is impactful. I will just take the opportunity to take the example Mr. Mohan given just in last conversation, that the Swiggy, if you see that, the Swiggy issue that he mentioned. So he said that the transportation of the bhog to the peoples who are not able to. So to identify that where is required. So that is the most critical also in some places. So where you are going to spend the dollar or where you spend the money, that is very critical. So from that perspective, it is intertwined. So definitely the creativity is there, but the data also play a big role, that where you are going to spend, use your creativity, how you can get the attention. Attention retention is also very, very big issues. And so from that all perspective, data is very useful. And in the advent of AI, with advent of technology, the data, collection of data was very cost prohibitive before. But I think with the advent of technology, it is very, right now it is very economic. So you can get those data at a very reasonable price, and you can utilize for better creation. So that is, I believe, it is the new generation of the media. I think, again, even I'm not, I have all of experts here who are the media and marketing personalities, but I believe this is the one where it is a convergence happening. I think that's my thought. But
that's a nice real-time example to, I think, answer your point. I think nice one. Moving on to my good friend Shantanu, as we are from the same industry, almost similar industries, but working in the same space. So as a brand marketer, what is the single most valuable type of data that your creative teams must have at the outset of a new project to ensure relevance? I'm sure you must be racking your brains throughout the year trying to get that done, right? So
You mean my creative team, the data that they
what
want?
kind of,
Honestly, as Siddharth was many a times mentioning that there are plenty of people in the hall who would join advertising. Believe me, branded 1.0, if we mention it that way, and branded 2.0 as we are sitting here. When branded 1.0 started and when it ended and when branded 2.0 started, I am yet to figure out. These are all heavy, heavy stuff, nothing great about it. But for us, some of us here at least who has started advertising just about in the pre-computer era when computer was coming in, data was not that easily available. In fact, if I'm talking about developing the creatives, the creative directors had to use something called a black book, which most of us in the hall are not aware of. Now it's all about Pinterest, Canva, etc., etc. So we are being pushed and we fetch everything that is available. But for me, from the perspective of an apparel in a wear category, we are very sure about what the objective is for each and every campaign, be it a festive campaign, be it a summer campaign, or when I'm launching a new product. The objective is very fixed. We try to provide a very, very simple brief to my creative agency and not block their minds in thinking what the outcome would be. They are also very sure. They are very sure about the target audience. They know how we want to speak, what we want to showcase, and to whom are we speaking to. I think that's the three things that define. Data, everything calls after the creation is done. Then it's handed over to the media partners, the media planners, who see the content and then decide how we fragment it across the platform. Leaving it right away, we'll delve more into it. Samrat?
Right. Nice. I think, absolutely, I think you hit the nail. It's always better to give that kind of liberty to creative guys to, so if you actually push them with too much of data and I'm sure they are going to get overburdened and will come up with something obscure and all, right? So we'll move on to DEBOJIT, who has been an expert content creator. I think this question makes a lot of sense at this point of time. So how do you, I think it's very important again, I'm sure you must be coming across this a constraint or problem every now and then. So how do you prevent the obsession with performance metrics from stifling genuinity and original creativity? I'm sure that your marketeers and the brand guys would be giving you this. Yeah.
So when we're talking about branded content 2.0, as he also quoted, I mean, the Michelin star restaurants are also a part of branded content, right? And it started long back, so branded content is nothing new. We used to, I mean, in the MTV era, we used to call it AFPs. You know, Abhi, we are calling it branded content. Radio in all its time has only been doing branded content. So branded content is nothing new, neither for the advertisers or neither for the consumers. Now I think even the consumers are knowing a lot, ye branded content hai, ye branded content nahi hai. So that is what is happening. And to answer your question, like the performance part of the branded content, I think before that also, like the way we have defined brands and with a sage, with a caregiver, with all these archetypes. Now, when it comes to content, understand, the brand is also exposed into a lot of avatars. It is no more just a caregiver. Like a caregiver can also have a party at night, right? Now, so now the brand is not to you only in a television 30-second and you were consuming content for 30 minutes a day, which is now, I don't know how many hours in a day. So you are actually hanging around with this guy, with this brand. And it cannot have just one single, character to it. So now, once we know that, and I think that is where the overall brand also has to open a little more. I mean, Pepsi stands for young, youthful, and stuff like that. And we have known how, as also spoken about agility in social media, they went and did something with an old woman in one of the cricket matches, right? And so that is how content is. Abhi Pepsi ke brand archetype mein wo tha nahi tha, we would not know. So when we were talking about, I mean, do not pressurize too much on the performance. Obviously, performance will happen if you choose the right guy to do the right thing. But when you send pointers which came from some data and give it to a creator, because the guy is a creator first, right? Now he is doing branded content, and also understand not all brands can choose the creators that they would like to do. I mean, because a lot of things happening, right? In my Insta feed, I am getting 4 creators, and I want them to kind of say something about my brand. I mean, your brand is something that is he consuming in a daily basis? No. Then there is no synergy at all. So obviously, the more than the ROIs, I want to use the word the KPIs. The KPIs has to be defined, but it cannot be. I mean, it has to be really placed well, and that is the real collab. Being said that, I completely believe that we also need a kind of a content playbook for the new, because there's so much content. I mean, how will you choose? How will you do the QC? Kuch bhi, and also understand a lot of brand guys across the industry is handling it, right? So they might not be even equipped with that. So some kind of a playbook, a content playbook for brand might definitely work, where we can also define how to understand the KPIs and stuff. Yeah. So if that answers it.
Yeah, I think till the time the creative team understands the brand's DNA and work towards, I think it's always better to work towards performance metrics, but that should not become the only point of measurement, right? So your creative input might fail. You can't guarantee that it's going to work, right? So
I mean, we were talking about regional content, right? Now someone in Sundarbans, as I was saying, even we did the same campaign of Swiggy the year before in Sundarbans. So now that is where I think people like us who would have certain brand know-how would come. Otherwise, wo Maaji ko kya pata kya brand hai? Usko kuch nahi pata, right? So that is how it should be.
Right. I'll move on to the only lady on the floor, Prachi, and a very apt question for you, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear the answer. So as audience attention spans shrink, yet content consumption skyrockets, what formats or approaches do you see dominating the branded content space in the next 4 to 5 years? I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
So, Samrat, I see it somewhere moving towards a duality, where I see micro and immersive formats coming together to deliver what they deliver the best. So at one hand, you have the snackable reels, and you have the interactive filters, which give you the eyeballs, which are snacking essentially. And at the other hand, you have the immersive formats, which is, the slow-burning documentaries, or, you've got the AR/VR experiences or live experiences, which essentially pull the audience in, and they hold you for long. So that essentially creates a long-lasting impact. I think the win happens when we stop thinking format first, because I think there's a lot of conversation around format, but I think we're missing talking about the idea and the ecosystem first. I think as brands, as marketers, we'll have a win when we start thinking idea first, because today the media landscape is so dynamic. You start with a great idea. It could start as a UGC campaign, as a social media post, could develop into a podcast, could go into becoming an OTT series or a film. So, I think as marketers or as agency people or as, people who are sitting on this panel, we start thinking format first. But jab audience dekh rahi hai, audience is not looking at format. I think they are looking at a world where they want to just fit in, they want to have their moment. Right. I think we should just focus on that piece.
Right. A very interesting answer. I'll move on to
add to this, I would like the audience to think about for a while. As Prachi was mentioning about formats, imagine when ChatGPT came in. As we are speaking, data is not always available at one go. It's, as Uday sir mentioned, it's a constant journey. We, as marketers, we also have to evolve who the right target audience is, whether we are doing justice in reaching them. So ChatGPT came in, right? We all know what ChatGPT is all about. How much they had moved ahead in the process, and now the entire country is flooded with ChatGPT outdoors. So digital ek product, they also have to think about formats, platforms where they are targeting this kind of people who would see the outdoors when they are going to office, when they are out into the market, or when they are going back home. So the format is definitely important, but you can't target. India is a vast country, you can't target all of them. Data is there, but first think. Think clear and correct.
Don't you see it's more, sorry.
Just to add on to this, you're looking at formats. I mean, what are formats? They're all access points. Be it television, outdoor, radio, print, whatever you talk about. It's an aggregation or it's an access point. Somebody is moving out of the house in the morning. He's looking at the hoardings, listening to the radio. So it's completely fragmented, and you don't know when you're going to touch a person by which format. So it is better to look at it, whether what kind of access mix I can have, so that I can have the maximum reach. Could be a way you could think moving forward.
Yeah, excellent.
So format is more of a distribution, and that's very important, equally important. So you have a crux of idea, absolutely. That is where data comes in. Yeah.
All right. Question for you, Mr. Ramakrishnan. So in an era defined by millennials and Gen Z, obviously, where instant gratification has now become a culture, right? So how is the news ecosystem help building the branded content space, which is across screens?
See, for Gen Z, what they are looking at is something which is instant. Okay, they want gratification is immediate. It has to be impactful, and they just don't have the time or the attention span at all. Okay, so gone are the days when branded content used to be a supplement in a newspaper, a full-page supplement, half-page editorial, and half-page advertising. It doesn't work. Then we went on to slots, where created content was just plugged in. Then we moved to AFPs. So all those things are passé. I mean, nobody has got half an hour, 1 hour to go through a print or watch a program. So it's all become short, much more impactful. And what news medium does is it brings the daily relevance to that. So as long as it is very, very crisp and pointed to the kind of content that they want to consume, and then you integrate it with a brand in a relevant kind of an atmosphere, that is when the moment of truth will happen. Right. So that's what the Gen Z is looking at. But Gen Z is also dated. Millennials are even more fragmented and even more fast-tracked. So getting accustomed to them, getting accustomed to the wavelength in which that they are thinking cannot happen with past knowledge. It has to be fluid, on the go now.
Yeah, it's something I think they're also looking at more of authenticity in everything what they're looking at, right? So, question for Prachi. India's creative industry at a point where local storytelling is gaining global recognition. I think so many awards and accolades we have been getting. So how do you think brands can leverage this momentum to create work that resonates both locally and internationally? Something which can...
I don't think we're looking at globalized Indian stories anymore. I think what everybody is looking at is authentic Indian stories. That's why you connect with the Narcos, that's why you connect with any other thing that's come from abroad, and we've also watched and connected with it at that level. I'm forgetting the show that I think it was a nightmare for all parents across the globe, adolescents. Yeah. So I think packaging and universalizing Indian stories is not working anymore. What I feel is, considering, brands also need to understand that India in general offers it's a creative gold mine. You've got dialects, you've got folklore, you've got, contemporary culture growing in different ways. For a creative person, it's a gold mine. So as marketeers, instead of leveraging it as just a tick mark on your marketing sheet, if we start looking at it as a tool to innovate, I think that's where you create your win. So, emotions are the same across the globe, right? Everybody experiences hunger, anger, love, jealousy, and that resonates with everyone. So what stops, a story of a Mumbai Dabba Wala story to resonate with somebody sitting in Rajasthan or somebody sitting in Brazil if it's done well? Right. I think that's what we're looking at. We're looking at authentic stories, we're looking at honesty somewhere, and that has been a proven success meter for everything that actually has been successful in this space.
Do you have any example of any brand who has already leveraged this kind of, maybe a local storytelling they have leveraged it globally?
See here, I think we recently just did something for Shell, where Shell employs, PWDs at their petrol pumps. Something on Indian Sign Language Day that we created, very, very simple activity, and it touched hearts across the globe. In fact, it's winning awards in multiple places, where all we did, so the insight actually, when the creative team started thinking about it, we realized that for almost about 63 million deaf and mute people, we have only 300 sign language translators. And you have Sanskrit interpreters across school and primary schools everywhere. But sign language is not taught anywhere. Basics are not taught anywhere. Okay. So all we did was stand at petrol pumps with just basic signboards saying, want to learn a new language. And people came and people learned basic sign language. If tomorrow somebody comes to me for help, I should know just a basic of what that person is talking about, right? And the activity has been, a huge hit. It's touched hearts. It's in terms of performance, it's touched. It's done well for the brand. So the brand is extremely happy. So I think, that's something that's coming to my mind right now.
That's wonderful. I was having a chat with you. So Preetha, your CMO, happens to be a good friend of mine. I've been hearing a lot of good work which is being done by Havas. And trust me, it's not a branded content 2.0. Okay. So I'll move to Mr. Ramakrishnan again. So I was talking about the authenticity of which people actually currently Gen Z are looking at. So can a story still feel authentic when it is engineered by insights or data?
Absolutely. A story can have insights which are coming in, as long as it is just thought-provoking and not dictating a mindset. I think, of course, it's an evolution and not dilution of the content. Because end of the day, the journalist is going to bring in his creativity and his storytelling, which will be there, and the viewpoints will be there. So if the intent is to focus on what is right and what is wrong, and not on who is right and who is wrong, then it is there to stay. It's going to improve and people are going to appreciate that content. But if it is going to be specific and the intent is I want to target somebody and say that this person is wrong, this person is right, I think that's going to kill it. So how you manage to use it and give a treatment which is fair, it shall only improve the content for the consumers.
All right, a very nice one. So as a consumer, I'm sure you have been on the other side, right? Also you're a consumer at heart, but have you ever experienced such kind of experience when maybe watching a televised show or something, or a OTT or something like that, you have come across a content and you felt jittery about it, oh, why this, and why just some ad hoc visibility which doesn't make sense within the... I'm sure you are being judgmental about certain things if you're part of this industry.
Yeah. See, some things are going to be loud and some things are going to be subtle, okay? The treatment that you want to delve into that is what is going to tell you whether it is good, bad or ugly. Coming back to the Sundarbans thing, before this one, we had done something to do with Sundarbans which was with mangrove plantations, which we did with Havas. Okay, that was absolutely subtle, and again it was how we can also help the tiger widows. And the sponsor who came on board was a TMT person. Why? Because the resilience that those tiger widows come, he wanted to associate with that. Okay, so that's a very, very subtle way of doing it. And there are some people who would be very, very loud and only throwing it up. So it depends on where you want to position and how you want to position your brand. So, I mean, that's going to be different, how different people decide to place it.
And also, I think it is also very contextual, as I was trying to say. So, for example, we also did something for Sundarbans, in Sundarbans, where we did the extraction of honey, right, for Dabur. Now, understand, that kind of a story, it is very integral to what is already happening there, right? And so we called it the honey trail. And then we realized, hey, I mean, then let us follow the trail, you know? And because they talk about pure honey and stuff. So then we went to Bharatpur. तो एक जंगल हो गया, फिर एक पहाड़ चले गए, फिर एक कश्मीर चले, वहाँ से how honey is extracted, you know? So you are right. I mean, first, if we know कि सुंदरवन में क्या है and what we can do around it, and then if we can get into a brand and say that, hey, this is what we want to do. You know, it's like typically we used to have these content days before, right, where you pitch a content and it's a reverse thing, right? And there are a panel of brand guys who will tell you that, hey, this content is something that I like and what you can do with my brand with that. So I think that collab is all required a little more.
Rather than being with a supply side mentality, we should try to focus on the demand side of the
Right.
Right,
that
absolutely.
thought process completely changes.
Okay, I'll have a question for Shantanu. I'm sure that the festive season has just passed, especially in Bengal. I don't have to refer to Bengal, but any examples of marketing innovations you have seen in this space of late, which you have liked or loved, or could be also some of the innovation which are disliked to the core?
See, as Mahesh was mentioning that one side is the data and one side is the brand relevance. So a brand tries to figure out how, what's the need gap, where is the space that I want to occupy in the people's mind, and how far I'll be relevant in talking to them. In that manner, as we are discussing India as a diverse country, every month there is something, every state speaks of a different language. 200 kilometers away from one town to another, the dialect changes, the culture changes. So it's extremely tough to have one content made for the entire mass. So for us, we really choose ideas which will be relevant at what time of the year. So seasonality comes in a particular manner, and of course the budget. Because at times we have a budget constraint and we still feel that we have to remain afloat because there is competition. And then we have to choose particular platforms and create a branded content around that, which will be specific to that particular platform. So festivity is a huge space in India. If it starts from the east, it's maybe end August is what we target, just after Independence Day. And it spans over to just about 31st December when the parties go on. So every state will have their own content, every brand is doing. I think it's very hard to point out one particular campaign like that, but we all are struggling to make things better. Everyone will say, yeah, I did this, I got awards, but it's a constant journey. And believe me, hands on our heart, every one of us here are trying to struggle. I mean, remain afloat and trying to see that whether we are correct, whether we are doing things right. But none of us are doing things right at all.
Still, there could be one example which has possibly moved you as a consumer, not as a marketeer. One example which possibly has moved you as a consumer, not a marketeer. One innovation which still is in your mind.
No, not that I remember. In the last
Okay.
2-3 months, I haven't seen across
That's
a brilliant campaign
That's
ever.
alarming for marketeers actually, right? So
I'm going to take Shantanu through our creds and show him some of our case studies because
Sorry, my bad.
something's not coming your way because we've done some great work. Some things are coming to my mind. I mean, I know.
yeah, please, Prachi, yeah.
So we did something. I've already talked about the sign language campaign. We've talked about. Uday's talked about. Everything that Swiggy's been doing in this space. Now this was not heart touching, but it was something very innovative. Last year, around Diwali. Now Swiggy was coming up with a service called XL. The idea was bulk deliveries. The reason at that time of launching that service was that Diwali ke time, you do parties and you're doing bulk deliveries, right? So there's a lot of request of that. So at that time, we realized Singham franchise was releasing Singham again. And that's one of the largest XL franchises, let's say. So at one end, we tied up with Singham again to actually create the first largest order of Swiggy XL on the app. And we created a Guinness World Record of delivering 11,000 vada paos in one delivery.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And it doesn't get over. So we tied it back where all those 11,000 vada paos during Diwali were distributed to underprivileged children. So, creating an ecosystem around that, the whole idea was tied up. It started from a thought and it ended up somewhere. We did create our Guinness World Record and the PR did happen. But I think we did something great, which sort of
I'm not doubting about the idea at all, but it's the exposure that I'm talking about.
Right.
So it's not one content may be appealing to you, another to me, but it's in the last 3-4 months at least, nothing great has happened that entire India is talking about. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry about it.
Okay.
No, but just to add on to what Prachi was saying, I think Shantanu watches a lot of Z News. So had this campaign
Right,
been
everybody's plugging
been
in.
exposed to that.
Okay, right. No, Shantanu was very humble. I think he didn't mention his own brand, so he could have done, or you haven't done anything great. So, moving to Debojit, I think a very interesting question for you. Can web series or creators tell stories to weave brand messaging properly without compromising on storytelling? Do you think that way?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely the OTT guys and the web series guys can do. And it is more because a lot of brand guys from the client, they invest a lot of time into making what they want to make. So, recently I was watching Family Man, and nicely Shadi.com got integrated. And TVA have been doing it for quite some time. So, yeah, I think web series can really, create fantastic brand storytelling. And I think in that, because of the investments and both for effort and the cost, that is very important because someone in the brand is actually thinking about it for 15 days, 20 days, a month, 6 months, a year. And the process is when it is in the writing stage, there is someone who is getting in touch with them. And the same guy will call me 7 days before or 3 days before and tell me, hey, Deb, so I'm making this, can you make some branded content out for me? So what I'm trying to say is that, as we were also discussing, content ka problem hai, ek bar nikal jata hai, you cannot then stop it, right? You cannot track it back. So that is where I think a little more QC and the way you do it, that would be really great. And I know a few guys who has been already trying a lot about it, doing a lot of litmus tests. If that answers your question.
I think the challenge that we face is a lot of times brands come to us saying ये integration करना है और ये इसी में चाहिए. But it comes last minute. And that creates a problem for the creator also to be able to do justice to what they would really want to do. So I feel, what Debojit was also saying, that as brands, if we want to really have a successful integration or a successful collaboration, we need to catch these pieces during the production stage. Better still, during the pre-prod stage, where they can actually think it through and give it the kind of respect and give it the kind of creativity that it deserves to be able to give you the result that you're also expecting.
Right.
On the example that Debojit was talking about, I was watching Family Man yesterday night, okay? So I saw the Shadi.com integration as well, because it was in the initial part. But to me, it was a dilution, because they were comparing it with Tinder, and the content was ki Shadi.com is not Shadi.com anymore, but it is more of a prospecting kind of a thing. So I think for Shadi.com, to my mindset, it's a dilution of their brand rather than the brand being exposed in a very positive
But look,
way.
we're talking about the integration now, all of us here. So, I mean, it's stuck, right?
Yeah.
See, I think that is what I was also trying to make a point. Now, Shadi.com ka context to the consumers is very different, right? To someone, a Gen Z, to someone, now that is contextual for the content, for someone who is also consuming that content, right? As a brand guy who really want to fortify that, because that was also a shocker to me, right? I was thinking, oh, okay, now they have kind of really played it a little. But at the end of the day, I'm sure the guy who has approved it, or the brand stakeholder, he must have also got kind of data, right? How the brand is perceived to a certain things and all of that. Now, my point was, can the story be weaved very well as a storytelling? To what he was asking, I think that can be done. Now, wo ho sakta hai, I mean, we might like something, we might not like something.
It's not
You
a
know?
question of liking, both to Prachi and you, it looked like a polished version of Tinder that was being represented on screen.
True.
Is this what Shadi.com was wanting to resonate itself with? I doubt that. I mean, that's what obviously the integration is good, it's there on the top of our heads and we are all discussing it. But I don't think that is what they would want their brand to resonate with.
Do you remember the Tu Beer Hai integration in pictures? You know, I mean, there was this integration in pictures, right, where they were saying ki tu beer hai, tu kaun hai, tu beer hai. And that was a Kingfisher integration. And where they said, okay, you are a beer and you can be put into any of the glasses and you take the shape. So you're not an entrepreneur, you know some. So I'm saying all these kind of integrations are also become a great meme content later. And as we were discussing, it is traveling all across the format. Abhi dekho na, abhi wo OTT mein ek series hai. Uska bhi reels ban gaya, uska bhi meme ban gaya. You know, so yeah. So that is
I think what we are talking about is the Family Man, the Shadi.com, whatever. There was a product, and the brand manager and the creative team had to think about how we integrate it. Right now, I'm really breaking the norm because with me, my dear friend SAMRAT is here, and I would like to ask him a question. Sorry. And now I'm trying to be the moderator.
Sure.
Because he does some fantastic activation, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. I think what I'm trying to figure out is UltraTech activation, you do not select the platform, right? You select the target audience and then you create the entire entity and then you launch it. So can you just enlighten the audience on that, please?
Anything specific you're talking about?
You do a fantastic Rath Yatra campaign in Orissa, some fantastic Durga Puja campaigns in Bengal. I think the bright kids here would love to hear that.
Okay, so for us, it's like once in a lifetime opportunity, right? My consumer is going to come once in a lifetime, most probably, as in the individual home builders we are referring to. And hence, I have to stay 365 relevant throughout every form of media, and obviously budgets are limited and you have to choose the best one to cater to our consumers. So we generally try to get into an opportunity where we largely but we have our TGs, right? Predominantly male, 25 to 55, and what we look at is also the rural. I think semi-urban and rural is our huge market, and we try to target the congregation point of these rural consumers at large. Because if I come out of the media space, it's a normal, when I'm talking about experiential activations and all. So, and our campaigns are basically developed around that, giving that also as a brand we stand as an empathetic expert because nobody has a clue about how homes are built, right? You don't know, you brush your teeth on a daily basis, you know how to do it. But nobody would have constructed a home in a lifetime will get and possibly do it once. Hence, we come as an empathetic expert and try to tell them that the nuances of home building. So every opportunity we get, we are not only just SALTTech is high on awareness. We don't have a problem with awareness. We only work on the consideration and increasing our recommendation for the brand. And that's how we get in and try to educate people wherever we can get an opportunity that these are the stages of home building, you need to do this, that, and hence we capture the mind space of our consumers. They always look forward to us as a brand which stands right beside them as an empathetic partner, right? And that's how we activate everything around that.
So do we debate that that was not a branded content? So that got a huge traction, right, SAMRAT? So he has to identify and be relevant to the right set of audience. Platforms come in as a right fitment anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
and more and more platforms we have, I think the agencies would get more business. So that makes sense. I'll move to Mr. Sen. I think possibly you can give a consumer perspective here, maybe add some. Looking ahead, what's your vision for the role of content leaders in shaping the future of India's advertising and marketing landscape? You can start and ask somebody to add to it, maybe, yeah.
Well, as we can see here, I mean, like everybody is talking about platform, we are talking about format, we are talking about, but if you really pay attention to the discussions, we're all talking about, like as you said right now, like rural, target. So again, I am a data guy, definitely. So I deal with whenever as a financial person, I always convert everything to the numbers. So definitely I will be more biased to the number side than all of you because you are all in creative side. So, but the perspective that I can see here, that if you can integrate the data, like as you said, the rural. So how do you know that it is rural? That is a data point. Any format, you are saying OTT, or you are saying platform, like whatever you call it, everything has a data point. So if you know the data points, that is very critical. And if you, depending on now how you are getting those data points, either at the production stage or later stage, how it is impacting, definitely that is how you utilize your data. But data is very critical. And good, authentic data is also more critical. So in the coming generation, I believe the more and more data is available, you have to dissect that, utilize to the better usage towards the marketing, advertising, and branding purposes. I think, and most of the, across the globe, people are more focusing on utilize the money. Definitely, we are talking about ROI, there's so much work, so many words is there, but the ultimate, the finance is a resource. And you have to utilize it very wisely. So how you use it, that is most critical also. So from that perspective, you need to use some relevant data, either at the post or pre-production, and then make your judgment. And I think from there, data is very critical.
Okay.
And definitely, creative part, all of them are expert. I am not that.
Thank you so much. Anyone like to add to this? Prachi? Yeah.
I do feel that tomorrow's content leaders are not going to be creative directors like us, but I think they're going to be cultural architects, if I could call it, because they will be navigating changing brand purposes, they'll be navigating emerging tech, they'll be navigating societal shifts for that matter, and while navigating all of this, they would have to create a product which is not just commercially effective, but also culturally relevant. Right. So I think I would urge them to be bold, and I would urge them, again, I'm using that word a lot today, but I would urge them to be authentic, because I think that's the world that we are moving towards, and that is what we leave for, I think, for the generations to come, because they're going to be dealing with a media landscape that's going to be more fragmented than ever before.
Excellent one. I think-
Right, and I think a lot of, along with the brand managers, there will be a lot of content curators with the brands. Because someone also need to curate this content, as she was saying. I mean, there will be a lot of creators around and buzzing with ideas from different cultural landscapes and all, but it's very important someone to curate that kind of a content also and have some kind of systems in place to do that. Yeah.
So Prachi, I don't know how come the time suddenly reduced from 10 to 2. I don't know. Okay. So Prachi, I had one question in mind. So can web series creators tell stories to, what are the key challenges with content-led brand integrations on OTT, and how are brands navigating them?
I think I'll keep it short, we don't have much time, but I think the major challenge today for all of us is that the audience is extremely sharp, incredibly discerning. So, you try to force a brand moment on them, they'll eject. By the time you finish saying brought to you by, they're out. So I think navigating that is a big challenge for brands, which is where I think the responsibility for brands now comes into play, where you don't have to play the role of a collaborator anymore, you're almost a co-creator. So I think that is one piece that's coming our way. And I think second piece is, speaking their language, because it's, we're realizing increasingly that India doesn't speak one language anymore. And there's so much regional content out there that people are consuming, not just on regional platforms, but also on national platforms. There's a lot of regional content that's actually now being put focus on. So I think, copy pasting one Hindi script into Tamil or wo chipka dena will not work anymore, which is why I think we're seeing a rise in, regional creators, regional writers who are actually adding that nuance to content now that's being created.
Great. We'll have 2 questions to wrap up. I think. You have something to add? Yeah.
I was just...
Yeah, just 2 questions to wrap up. Maybe we can take them. Yeah. Sir, I use my discretion. Okay, fine. We are going well with time, actually. So, for you, Mr. Ramakrishnan, I think very important question we missed out in the entire conversation. The rise of AI tools can generate content outlines and scripts, right? In your view, will AI become a co-creator that supercharges data-driven content, or will it be a commodity tool that devalues the human creative touch in this era?
See, I think this was in detail discussed just in the fireside chat which just happened a while before.
Your opinion, yeah.
So my opinion is completely aligned to that. Obviously, AI is going to help you, but the human intervention is here to stay, okay? This question is even relevant to the question which was just prior to that, okay? When you are looking at data for the media landscape, which is on a completely evolving state, okay? So past data is all good, but past has no future. So that is crystalline data. So how you are going to move ahead in a fluid format, going ahead, is far more important. So how you reimagine the data is what is going to help you whether you're going to succeed or not. You have to look at data, but you need to reimagine it, because future is a blue ocean.
All right, great. A very close round robin Lego question, just one word answer. That's it. What is the critical skill gap which you see, whether it's in data literacy, creative integration, or technical production, that the industry needs to address to fully capitalize this concept of branded content 2.0? Start with you, Shantanu. Just one word answer, that's it.
Can you just rephrase the question?
Yeah, data literacy, creative integration, or technical production, which is a key skill set gap which you find kind of find in today's world, which possibly needs to be addressed?
See, data literacy, obviously it's growing. There's a huge gap because given the country, it's so wide, people are still trying to get a good foothold. If we are talking about the metro cities, we are aware, but away from that, it's as he mentioned, it's an ocean. I mean, it will take time.
It is a gap area then.
Yeah.
Creative integration or data?
I think data literacy.
Data literacy. For you?
I think all three are important, and it's not a question of either or. It's a question of.
There is a gap. Currently, you see a major gap in that. Which one?
I don't see any gap.
You don't see gap. Mr. Sen?
Definitely, data is still, there is a gap.
Yeah, right.
And there is a lot of scope for improvement.
Okay. Prachi, for you?
See, data is definitely a gap. But I think more than just a skill gap, I think there's an understanding gap also for each other. I
Right.
think understanding of each other's challenges and requirements. If everybody understands that, I think we'll move forward much better.
That's again data literacy gap. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think same here, and I also think that there is a gap in understanding a brand from a content creator's point
Yeah,
of view.
okay.
Because that is something they're still trying to figure out. Yeah.
So good to see that it's from a creative integration and technical production side, we are well off. And so we need to understand more data. Next time we need to have a data scientist in place for this discussion as well. Over to the audience. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Any questions you have for any of the panelists?
I'll request all of you to please kindly remain over here. I'm going to be calling upon stage Mr. Uday Mohan, COO, Havas Media India and Havas Play to please kindly come up on stage and give the token of appreciation. Thank you, sir, once again for joining us.